if you're saying that I did not take on ADMK, it's wrong because I'm taking on ADMK's boss. This is probably the very first chief minister who went to jail while still in power. And second time around she would have gone if nature had not intervened. Two commission agents, DMK and ADMK.
What is your take on Mr. Stalin then?
30 and 40 is that's how I see them as. Stalin is cheaper.
An icon, an actor who's actually revolutionized the film industry, and now a politician who says he will usher in change, he will bring in a new kind of politics. Joining us on the News Minute is Kamal Haasan. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
You announced a few days ago that you will be contesting from Coimbatore South. So a lot of journalists speculated that you would be contesting from some seat in Chennai, and they were obviously wrong. So why did you choose Coimbatore South?
No, the first repartee for that offhand, which I also did, is why not? But that's not a complete answer. It's only a challenge to a question. So all 234 constituencies are my concern because we are talking about Tamil Nadu, and I think that right now the ruling party's bastion, as they themselves call it, is Kongu Mandalam. And even the Chief Minister's constituency falls under that umbrella. And people known for corruption, ministerial level corruption arises from that. It may not be the fountainhead, but definitely a very important place to lay siege, if they call it the bastion. And another thing is that is the place where communal harmony is at danger of being engineered for political convenience.
As it has happened before.
It's happening now, and again there is a BJP candidate there, and I want to make it a point and take them head on in that position. And these are one or two of the reasons. Also, that's a great place to set an example because it used to be called the Manchester of India, and it's lost its shine and glow quite a long time back. DMK regimes, 16-hour power cuts drove away very important industries out of Coimbatore, and GST and demonetization have not helped it any further. And so all the promises of facilitating the infrastructure to facilitate entrepreneurs, small and big, have all been neglected. It's a big town. It is a metropolis with no metro rail promised constantly by both the governments. The expansion of the airport, and even the traffic is so congested because they are half-finished bridges all around the city. These are some of the drinking water problem in a city like that.
You have been saying that your battle is against the two Dravidian parties. I know that you don't want to keep addressing them as Dravidian parties, but then the AIDMK and the DMK. Now, if half of politics is a battle of perception, Apna, you should have stood in a seat where or a DMK candidate and a AIDMK candidate. Why do you choose a seat where you're only contesting against BJP and the Congress?
No, that's also another, it's a what they call multi-pronged attack at the same problem. See, if you're saying that I did not take on ADMK, it's wrong because I'm taking on ADMK's boss.
Which is the BJP.
Which is the BJP. So we are talking about taking on, if you call one evil, go to the very layer of the animal and take it on. And so that's what it is. As far as DMK is concerned, it's good enough because now that the Congress has aligned themselves with the wrong party, they are in the wrong side, so they are in the opposition.
So no number calculation went into this because...
Number also, we look at all, I said that these are one or two of the reasons. one should look at numbers also, and our previous performance has been good
In urban areas especially.
in urban areas and Coimbatore and various other places. That's one of the reasons. The idea is to win more seats than we know we can.
So Tamil Nadu politics has largely revolved around the DMK and the AIDMK in the last few decades.
That's our chagrin and complaint.
Yeah, I know you've addressed this in the past, but what was it? What was the timing of your entry? It was post Jayalalitha's demise. I mean, there was a vacuum in the state. I mean, Karnataka was also not into active politics. So if you can just tell us once again, what made you take the political plunge at that point?
There's so many things. It cannot be just moving into a vacuum. There's never a vacuum in politics. The king is dead, long live the king, as always. It's been that quick, even in a monarchy. In a democracy, there should not be a vacuum. And I think it's media created word, that vacuum, in a population of so many, a billion and plus. You can't find leaders, and from a common man, they will rise. And the more common the man, the more popular the leader he will be. So it's wrong to even believe that after them there's a dearth of leaders. There's no dearth of even Mahatmas, if you ask me. You'll find them among the pedestrians. We are not looking, we are not celebrating goodness, we are not celebrating the righteous, we are celebrating the score.
But at that moment, what made you think that I have to do it now?
It's not a moment. It's like asking you, when did you learn the language? You actually can't put a date to it. It starts with one syllable. Suddenly you realize you're very conversant, even if it's a new language. I can't put a date to when I started speaking Malayalam. I started, and I don't know when I became fluent in Telugu, Malayalam or Hindi. I didn't even know a word of Hindi. I was a Hindi agitation school kid. So, but I acted in Ek Duje Ke Liye, but I can't remember when actually that happened. Similarly, I can't actually remember the time when I became an active politician, but I can remember the time when I became a politician. That must have been in my 20s, when I wanted to vote. I was clearly political. My films are a reflection of that. And my actions, the conversion of my fan club into social service organization and running it for 40 years under my leadership are all proof of the fact that I was engaging public service, service to the public like an NGO would. This is another extension. I don't actually remember when I thought it was essential to do some good to the people that we go into electoral politics. But both my heroes have personally kept away from electoral politics. Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and Mr. Hivera Ramaswamy, Periyar as we call him.
Okay. In your past interviews, you've said that Karnataka sent you a telegram asking you to join the DMK. You've said now that there's no one particular moment that made you join politics, but did something hold you back from joining politics?
And have you thought about it before?
Yeah, see, Mr. MGR, after I had a large meeting in gathering in Coimbatore, and after the meeting, nearly 1.5 lakh, 150,000 gathered there. It was noticed by the media, then media, and but still it was noticed enough that the then CM, Mr. MGR, called me and congratulated me for the gathering, and he said, "What is your idea? Do you intend to get into politics?" I said, "No." Then what is this? I said, "This is a celebration of our welfare association." Now, are you sure it's only that you want to get into politics? I said, "No." And he said, "Why not?" "Because that part is taken care of by you, and I am doing what is good for me." And he gave me a lot of advice. If that is truly the case, then you should do it that way, and sometime you might have to come.
So we'll move to the manifesto now. One of your main promises is money to the homemaker, to the woman of the house, which of course now both the DMK and the AIDMK has announced.
I'm glad you're saying that because people make it sound like it could be and it could not be. It's not.
No, in fact, I had a conversation with an AIDMK leader who did say that yes, he did make the first announcement, but then ideas are not permanently anyone's.
Absolutely. But only my request is, it's fantastic. Why don't they, for a change, practice honesty and transparency that we are promising? Can they put that seriously put it in their manifesto and stop lying?
Like we write, this story was first reported by so-and-so media house. So my question to you is, how does the mathematics work? If it'll work. It's very wrong to say that we are in a deficit and hence no new plans could be made. We'll have to look into the reason for the deficit is that when we were only 1 lakh crore owed to by the government and the people, it was only 5 years ago. In their time, it's become 5.7 lakhs. And I see no sign of that money having gone into any public works at all. So where did it go is an already answered question. It's an obvious question and an obvious answer. They have taken away that money. So you're saying that we can raise that money again?
That money is a flowing stream. Like I'm a taxpayer, so I do believe that people like me will fill the coffers again. The fact is that you shouldn't have emptied it. That's a crime. Just because you are not caught, a committed crime should not be considered as not committed at all. Because nobody is caught, hence there is no crime. Is not the way to look at it. And these are people whose achievements have been probably exemplary, that this is probably the very first chief minister who went to jail while still in power. And second time around she would have gone if nature had not intervened.
But you don't want to put a figure like DMK and AIDMK have in their manifesto.
No, we can, but why now? What we are saying is, okay, let's put this 1,000 rupees per month, 5,000 rupees during elections for vote, or put it all together, it will amount to 15,000 rupees.
A year.
Yeah, 5 plus 12 plus, okay, 16,000 rupees. We are telling them that if you put the right government in place, they will get 100 times that as revenue. But what we are talking about is a computer connection to every household, not laptop for free. And that connection will be monitored and serviced by the government so that the people can have a conversation. The conversation between the people and the government is not only transparent but easily accessible. There are no brokers in between. And the Right to Services Act is enhanced and strengthened by such a tool. And that is why we want digitization. And these are the plans that we have. Even while copying, they forget the crux of the matter as to why we offer computers. It is not computer for free, but computer at home, which doesn't mean every individual, it's not going by numbers, but by need for better governance. And this will eliminate all kinds of, money exchange that's happening, which is actually corruption. The money saved in that will far exceed the money required to pay the housewives.
My other question to you is about the big promise of jobs. Now, in your manifesto, you have said there will be one job, 100 square kilometer within your house. I was going to say feet. How is that possible, first? Second is, you are someone who has spoken for the environment. I mean, there are many times when you are the first politician, in fact, to speak against a particular industrial project because it harms the environment.
Sterlite.
Yes. How will you balance this? If you need to create more jobs, you need more industries. So how do you intend to then keep that promise?
Industries need not necessarily be noxious and there are various kinds of industries. One, and even a copper smelting plant like Sterlite is welcome if they stick into the zones they are supposed to stay in. Our only complaint about Thoothukudi is that why choose a red zone and pay these corrupt politicians money to be in the wrong place in the first place. We are talking about a 14-kilometer difference. If they had done that, even now, my remedy would be that it's not a 1,000-hectare project. The smelting plant itself is small. They can donate it for a cancer hospital and shift their factory so that we still are participants in the copper market of the world.
So the way the copper factory by Vedanta was working, Eminem will still be against it, the way it was working.
The way it is operating now, yes, will be. But we are willing to have a conversation with them. For all you know that Vedanta's founder we'll put up a statue for him if he builds a cancer hospital there, and that's the right thing to do, is to move his factory in an allotted place. It's as simple as that.
NEET is the buzzword of this election. Across AIDMK, PMK, DMK have all said that they will abolish NEET. What is your view on it?
If you're so angry about NEET, why didn't you fight it tooth and nail and keep quiet then, before it was made into...
Which you're asking the DMK and then the AIDMK?
Both. Now you're going to abolish it. Now I'm only talking about the confusion that you put our students in. You take it away, you give it in. You take it away, you give it in. Now everybody is preparing for it because they think this is going to be the fate. That is the reason why we say that the education should be decided, system should be autonomous for the state and not totally controlled by language. Is a prerogative, and that doesn't mean we want to destroy another language or put down another language. We want to say our language is great, nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean we are denigrating another language. From there starts these things. And once somebody finds a solution, you suddenly think he is corrupt. Because all of this comes down to one thing: their money pockets, their income box offices are being sealed off.
But by their money boxes, you mean the medical colleges that they run, that these parties run?
Every institute. See, this government is so keen, they engage IAS officers to keep a thriving business of Tasmak. It's a business that anybody could run, and not essential service at all. But education is essential for the nation. They leave it to the private sector. They're more than happy to shut down primary government schools because there's nobody studying there. They leave education in the hands of private sector to make money.
But so fundamentally, what is your position on NEET? Because it is a huge election issue. And the DMK yesterday said within 1 month of them coming to power, they will abolish it.
We can abolish it, but what I'm saying is, why aren't you not asking for autonomy of education?
Which is bring it to the state list.
State list. Okay. Bring it to the, don't play this concurrent game. Bring it to the state list. So that is our thing. Then all problems could be, instead of abolishment, we're talking about a middle ground.
We'll move back to politics. In many interviews, I've heard you saying that when you choose a alliance partner, honesty would be one of the things that you would look for. Is that really the criterion you used?
In many interviews, I've said my candidates, I cannot vouch for alliance partner. Well, if we are talking about Congress, there was a time when Congress was inviting, and it was inviting invitation, literally. But you cannot look into their antecedents and say that Bofors, I remember Bofors with BJP, I remember Rifle. Let's hope that the next generation will improve. Like I am the next generation after Kamraj and Mr. Karnanidhi also. And I'm an improved version, and I'm talking about. I hope the same will happen with others also. Give them a chance.
So if I apply the same logic to the AIDMK, because you spoke about Jayalalitha and corruption, can't you then apply to EPS saying maybe he's not as corrupt as his previous leader was and thought of an alliance?
Well, he has proven otherwise.
How?
What do you mean? Just because he's not gone to
If you
jail?
look at particularly-
Just because he's not gone to jail, you will ask me to wait for him to go to jail and then get convinced? I have proof of it, which I can't prove, but he won't even let the right of information be accessed. And he won't even let the cameras to get into the assembly because he doesn't want to see people to see what is happening, because they'll be ridiculed beyond expectation. They clearly, the reason why I came into politics are these two people, and they are on the way out. Then they should be quickly vacated from this area. That's the reason why we are here.
How do you respond to criticism that the MNM is going to split votes? Of course, your front is not the only front that is contesting. AMMK also has a front. So how do you respond to criticism that you will be splitting
Just adding to that, why did you ever think about aligning with the AMMK?
No.
And her question.
Yeah. No, we didn't. At least not in my mind. On the lower echelons, somebody would have not aspired, but would have thought, why not? Various, but never me. I was very clear right from the beginning. As a matter of fact, 2 years back, I had clearly indicated no truck with the DMK or ADMK.
But you will be blamed of splitting votes now, especially the anti-incumbency vote.
Yeah, our purpose is not to split votes. That's not why we are here. We want to garner votes, and we know from our calculation it's going to be more than splitting votes.
Is there, when you started speaking to parties for alliances, is there any party
We
that you
didn't.
thought, okay, when they came to you, for example, the left and the BJP can never go together. The Congress and the BJP can never go together. Is there any party that you thought I will never ally with?
I told you, DMK and ADMK are clearly out. But then you can't keep pushing all parties out. The very fact that we have taken two alliance partners shows there are not clear untouchables in politics till the ideologies are too dangerous for the nation. If they change their views by experience and the lessons they've learnt at the poll, then yes, you must give them a chance.
And what about the BJP? Today, a lot of discourse in Periyar's land is about religion, is about branding somebody as anti-Hindu or anti-Brahmin. Did you think that it would come to this, that elections in Tamil Nadu would come to this?
No, we never wanted it. Coming to this is because there hasn't been enough democratic vigil in Tamil Nadu. We've just let it slip through. We should have been more careful. It's not just being, Tamil Nadu has always been spiritual, but bringing in a new brand, there have always been Hindus or Vaishnavites and Saivites in Tamil Nadu. They have always been a small minority of atheists and another larger minority of rationalists. They've all coexisted. And centrism looks at these things as inclusive of our society and voices to be heard.
How would you define your politics? Left, right, center, you don't want to?
No, we are centrists. See, what is happening is now the politics is extreme right, extreme left, and most of the energies are spent proving the other person wrong from across the aisle.
Like DMK continuously proves they are not anti-Hindu as the BJP calls them.
Yes. So this is, most energies are wasted in proving the other person wrong. The primary idea of politics is forgotten in this. Once again, that's what I said, don't make it a spectator sports. And that's what it is coming to. And centrism puts people at the center of things, and that is why it's gaining momentum internationally. We are the first Asian party to call ourselves centrist. Now America is talking strongly about centrism, at least the eclectic group of college professors are talking about it. and France has already tried its hand at it. So soon it will come to being an international phenomenon. And putting your ideology in the way of good for the people and sticking on to it may not be necessary. As I said, proving the other man wrong is not the most important thing to do now. But putting the people first, engaging with them, and then proving how wrong the argument of good for the people is wrong.
Before you started your political journey, you met with Pinarayi Vijayan and you met with Arvind Kejriwal. So is there anything that you perhaps learned from them?
Absolutely. I mean, how to succeed and sustain. Two succinct lessons is how to succeed and how to sustain. And that cannot be done by luck. And some of it is hard work. And how, with Mr. Pinarayi, how to not only sustain ideologically, but also in the position of governance.
So we'll end the session with two political questions. When Edappadi Palaniswamy became Chief Minister, everyone said, "Oh, who is this?" But now a lot of media writes here that perhaps he has proved himself a little bit. I was listening to an interview with Mr. Prashant Kishore, the strategist, in which he says that Edappadi Palaniswamy is at zero level. So people did not expect anything out of him, which is why when he maintained the government, people think it's wonders. What is your take on EPS and what is your take on Stalin, both chief minister faces?
I refute the fact that he became the chief minister is not done through the usual democratic route. He happened to be a chief minister, is more like it. So from there on, I contradict. In absentia, chief minister was OPS, and then they split the loot among themselves. So nothing has been happening right, and their performance in comparison to who? India should be comparing itself to international standards and not to Bihar. So is that the way we are going to qualify ourselves?
But they say GDP has grown in Tamil Nadu compared to other states.
Where did it go? My question is, if it has grown, why is it not shining? Why is Tamil Nadu not shining? Why is it stinking? Why are all the infrastructures half finished? Why are the hospitals built and the mere disturbance of cutting the ribbon brings down the whole building? That's how weak it is. The minister goes to cut the building and it's like I would have designed anti-propaganda for DMK. I would have designed a scene like that. And I didn't. They created that scene. They open a hospital and it crashes down. That's what they've been doing. What more do you need? I mean, most of their projects are unfinished because, and we are chasing away industries. Where are we growing? It is either these people who want 40% or 30% commission. Two commission agents, DMK and ADMK.
What is your take on Mr. Stalin then?
30 and 40 is, that's how I see them as. Stalin is cheaper. No, but that's what a businessman would, I'm not saying that. That's what you look at it as. It was much better times when it was only 25% and 30%. Now they want 30 and 40%. It's not the way to go. That's why I am harsh, and it's not a personal attack at all. It's against his government.
A lot of regional parties are afraid to take on the center, the BJP. But you've been very vocal against CAA, anti-Hindi imposition, Sanskrit imposition. Are you worried that you may be under, the BJP's radar? They may
not scared of income tax raids?
No, not me.
But why?
Because I pay my taxes, and my witness is the income tax department. The income tax commissioner will tell you that I'm a good taxpayer for so many decades. So that's one reason. And the honest need not fear. If anybody who raises a voice need to be worried, then all of India need to get worried now.
But all regional parties also look at their survival, which is why they go with these national parties, which is why they're scared of the BJP to a large extent.
No, I am scared of my people's survival, and that's all matters. I don't matter. A raid against me I can take on because I have nothing to Right, so I'm not worried about that. Even if it is something else that they would come at me with, I'm willing to take that on. My hero is Mr. Gandhi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal Haasan, for speaking to the News Minute. Mr. Kamal Haasan saying he finds no difference between Edappadi Palaniswamy and MK Stalin. He says vote for the MNM if you want a party with a difference. Will the MNM do well in these elections? How well will they do? We'll have to wait for the results to come in May. This is Dhanya Rajendran
And Anna Isaac.
for the News Minute.